Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and I'm going to review All I See Is You. All I See Is You. After being blinded as a child, Gina depends on her husband James to be her eyes, a dependence that appears to solidify their passionate relationship. But when Gina is given the opportunity to have a corneal transplant and regains her vision, their life and relationship are upended as she begins to realize the disturbing reality of their marriage and their lives. This is a 2016 movie, rated R for obvious reasons, and it runs about an hour and 50 minutes. This stars Blake Lively and Jason Clarke. And there's also the corneal doctor. We very much realize who he is, but he's one of those guys you don't really know his name. So my guess is maybe Yvonne Strahovski or Wes Chatham, maybe. So anyways, you'll recognize him. He's one of those guys that people recognize. So we'll start on the notes here. Well, I gotta say that I had no idea what I was walking into with this movie. When it starts off with them having sex, Blake Lively and Jason Clarke, I was like, "Oh boy, what did I get myself into?" I knew it was rated R, but I didn't know how rated R, and it's very much rated R. If you're gonna watch this review and watch the movie off of this review, I want you to know there's a lot of nudity. It's not so much about the language and everything. It's totally about the nudity. Okay. That disclaimer is out there. Okay. This is a little sporadic. It has scene changes and it has subject changes that are just like, oh, we're going to the next thing, everybody. Hold on to the ride. And that's just how it feels the whole time. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing per se, but it just kept going, and it kind of acted like it was on ADD, and it was just like, oh, we got to go this thing, or we got to go this thing. And it ends up being a bad thing, but I'll get into that in a minute. The whole premise on the back cover of this movie is that she regains her sight from being blind. And then because she's able to see whatsoever, she realizes how bad her marriage is, and things fall apart from there. Well, I'm going to tell you, after reading that and after watching this movie, I was totally for the husband. It paints, and even on the subject line describing what the movie is, it tries to tell us that the husband is the problem, and he's not. He's a good guy. He gets painted out to be a really great guy, and he's the one that ends up getting backstabbed, and nothing is his fault. And I really hate Blake Lively's character. We're supposed to be happy that she regained her sight. We're supposed to be confused if she's taking the eye drops correctly. And then what she does at the end of the movie is just like unmentionable. And like it's every girl in this world that, is not happy in the situation that they're in, and they want something better and they want something different, and they'll mess up their whole life if they have to just to get what they want. And those kind of girls have no place in my life and in most good guys' life. And I just watched a movie about a girl completely messing up her life when she had everything laid out for her, and she was just a crazy freaking woman, although she was dealing with, to be blind or not to be blind, and we never obviously got any absolution from that and no explanation of what happens, but, it's understandably under stress. but what she decides to do is horrible. I just can't believe why they would actually go the way they did in this movie. It just paints her out to be a really, really devilish woman that just doesn't deserve anything good that happened to her the first half of the movie. In the second half, she just rips it all to shreds. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, but she's very much a female dog. She very much is. I'm not gonna say that word because I don't like cussing on my YouTube videos like other reviewers. But she ends up being a female dog. It's terrible. You can really grow to hate her. I'd like to know how much, if anybody sees this review, tell me how much you hate her character. I'd like to know. I don't know what level of hate I'm supposed to feel for her. And then the second half of the movie, it kind of has her experiencing life, being able to see colors and blah, blah, blah. We'll just go for that. And it just turns into a movie of, oh, we're going to go do this, oh, we're going to go do that, oh, we're going to have this experience, oh, we're going to have this argument. It turns into I don't care. And I'm not really too high on that. If you're going to keep somebody interested with a movie like this for the first half, where it's original and there's lots of drama and there's twists and you don't know if she's going to be okay as a sick person. We get all these cancer movies and stuff. The first half of the movie, if you don't know if they're going to be okay or not, it keeps you intrigued. But then if you take 45 minutes or half an hour of just them experiencing life, what do we care? Cut out that half an hour. It's boring as hell. Let it move on. Let it do something. I poked it with a stick and it was still there. They were just on vacation. I was like, come on, let's move along. Let's move forward, please. And then it tries to be suspenseful, but I just can't give it credit for being suspenseful. You know what I mean? Some movies try and then they just don't succeed. This was very much one of those. I don't know what to do with movies like this because you like them and then you want it to do something and then it has all this funky music and then it has something stupid happen and it's still playing the funky music and it still has this guy running from places to place and everything. You want to be on its side, but then it messes itself up. That's my next point, is that there's this dog, Ginger, that's kind of ends up being a big part of the movie. And where this really messes up is when there's a break-in to this couple's apartment. The dog is gone. We don't know what happened. We never find out who does it. They just throw in that the apartment got burglarized. It's very awkward. And then the dog's gone, and then the rest of the movie happens, and it's all sporadic, and it's all its own thing, and none of it really makes any sense. It's not structured. But the conclusion to the dog is terrible. The fact that somebody writes a letter, we don't know who it is, they want to keep the dog, they don't want to return it. It's all just so staggeringly confusing. And so that's like the first major thing that is like messes it up at the end. And then the rest of the ending is just, I wrote down terrible. I'm going to stick with terrible. I don't know what they were thinking. Okay? I've seen some bad endings, and this one I can try and make sense of if I had to talk it out with somebody, if I had to explain to them exactly what happened and why it happened. And I could be like, oh, it was artistic. Oh, and they wanted to at least, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to carry through the twist of the movie. But I'm left mad that it ended like that. And I don't know why they would go that way. I was yelling at the screen. You cannot just advance it, the storyline, for us who have no idea what's going on, to a guy driving away and a woman 8 months later in her life. And then, boom, ending. That's it. How many questions could you come up with about what the frick just happened, and then they just end the movie? They're the guy driving away, and they had the lady in her life. They show something happening months later, and then that's it. That's the ending, everybody. Okay, great. So, chalk it up for the worst ending ever, but I've seen some really bad ones. This is up there. No explanation whatsoever. One of the really troublesome parts of this movie is the fact that they're trying to have a baby. I would say they spend either time showing them having sex or having conversation about it or talking about it with other people. It probably takes up a good 40 minutes of the movie, material-wise. The fact that nothing ever comes from that, it's like your movie's pretty much about it, and it really takes away the attention from her blindness and her struggle of dealing with having sight. And that's what I thought the movie was going to be about. I wish it would have been. It would have made a lot more sense if they just pick a topic and they would have stuck with it. But the fact that they tried throwing all this other stuff in was like, no thank you, and then it got confusing, and then it made us mad, and then the ending was terrible. So, I think I'm done being mean to the movie. The one thing I've got to say before I end this review is how beautiful it was shot. I don't know if it's visual effects. I don't know if it was still shots and how they did this, but the first what was it, half an hour, 40 minutes that they dealt with her being blind, everything, it gives us her point of view, being in the water, seeing somebody in front of her, having all these sounds around her. It's very, very beautifully shot. I don't think I've seen anything like this for a while. I've not seen very many artistic movies lately, and this is has a definite flavor right away. It hits you. That's why I appreciated the first hour so much, and I don't know why they had to go the way they did of sucking the second hour. They could have had something really great on their hands, and this is back in 2016, and I can't change anything about it, but if this ever gets anywhere, I want people to know that this movie really could have been something. I sat here very intrigued for the first hour. I was very into it. I was dealing with the material source, and I was finding my way through it, and I had questions, but I figured they'd get answered, and most of them did. But then it just kind of goes crazy, and it kind of messes itself up. It kind of shoots itself in its own foot. So I'm sorry about that, but I love the shooting of it. I really, really hope maybe I can find out who did the cinematography stuff and see what else they've done, because it was very beautiful. So for that, I've got to go in the C range. I'm going to go C minus just because of how truly awful the ending was. But C minus for All I Can See Is You. And I guess that's good enough for now. I like talking out this kind of stuff. This is very much a movie that you can see and you can talk to someone about. You can have a real conversation, because there's things that are not understood, but it's a very smart movie. It's well done. It's beautifully shot. So, good enough movie, right? My name is Danny. Thanks for watching this review. Try and give my other reviews a try. If you like anything, like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for watching. Guys, enjoy your movies. Thanks.